Hi everyone, this is Dave Prosser. I'm partners with Mr. Hebler in the Pro Hebler Fighting School in Gardnerville, Nevada. Sitting beside me is Grandmaster Dave Hebler, and he just wants to say a few things. I'd like to ask him a couple of questions, and hopefully you guys will be interested in what he's going to say. So Mr. Hebler, tell us a story about your times with Mr. Parker way back in the day. How old was Mr. Parker when you started with him?
Let's see, he was in his early 20s.
Early 20s?
Yeah, he was 3 years older than me.
Wow. How old were you?
I was 20.
20?
Yeah.
And where were you at? Where was the school?
Pasadena, California.
Pasadena?
Yeah.
And you were in the service, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, I was in the service.
Mm-hmm.
When I first met him, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I got out of the service 3 months later.
3 months later?
Yeah.
And then were you a full-time student, or you just hear of him, or how did that
no,
happen?
I became an immediate full-time student, and I was driving about 60 miles one way, twice a week.
From what, March Air Force Base?
March Air
right?
Force Base, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you were driving once a week?
twice a week.
Twice a week,
Yeah.
60 miles, one way.
Yeah.
And who was Mr. Parker? How did you find out about him? How did you know about Mr. Parker at that time?
I was in Air Force, and I was working out with 3 or 4 Hawaiian guys who were in my squadron,
Mm-hmm.
and they were doing what they call Kenpo. I learned later on that they didn't know very much, but nevertheless, I didn't know anything, so I'm working out with them. But in any event, they knew I was getting out of the Air Force the following year. So
what year was this?
this was 1958.
58.
Yeah, and I was going to go to college at Pasadena City College. In order to get an early out of the Air Force, I had to be registered for the upcoming year by June. So on June 1, the plan was to drive into Pasadena and sign up, at the college. And they said, well, listen, while you're there, what you should do is just go up the street like a block, and see this guy, Ed Parker, who has a school there. And I went, okay, sounds like a plan. And that's what I did. I went to the college, Pasadena City College, and I signed up for fall classes. This was June 1, and I signed up for fall classes. And I drove up the street, and sure enough, there was this little studio. It's not the one that a lot of people think is the original school.
Right, the one we see on Facebook and all the
Yeah, that's
pictures
not the original one.
of the big karate sign up
Yeah,
front.
the original one was right next door to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little strip mall.
Uh-huh.
It was right there.
And then he moved to the other one after the fact, or?
After he built that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he built that.
Well, the other one's just too small and they were growing, or?
No, he had an opportunity to do it. He was
Uh-huh.
making some money, and
Uh-huh.
figured that he wanted to have an actual karate school.
So who were any students that we recognize names of at that time when you joined up?
Let's see. Well, it was Chuck Sullivan.
Chuck Sullivan,
Yeah.
who is your senior by
Yeah, about 2 months.
about two
Yeah,
months. Wow.
I think Chuck started in February, and I started in June.
What about the Tracy's brothers and Joe
Yeah,
Disick and those people?
Al and Jim. And I actually took quite a few lessons from Jim Tracy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My first lesson was with Jimmy Brown,
Okay.
and that was...
And Jimmy Abrow is, for the people who don't know, who is Jimmy Abrow?
Jimmy Brown was... this is kind of a convoluted little story, but he was supposed to be Ed Parker's first black belt,
Mm-hmm.
other than the guy, Charles Beater,
Charles Beater.
who was a student in Utah. I forget him when Ed Parker was going there.
Hmm.
But at the Pasadena location, Jimmy was supposed to be the first black belt. But at the time, Jimmy was off playing semi-pro ball, and in his absence, Ed Parker promoted Rich Montgomery. So technically, Rich Montgomery was the first guy,
Oh, really?
although it was supposed to be Jimmy.
I see. I see.
But, you know, I mean, so I don't know, take your pick, you know, whatever,
Right.
whatever works for you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was the setup there, and it was a slam bang school. I mean, there were other guys there, but that came along in short order. Leonard Mao, Sterling Peacock.
Sterling Peacock, who was my
used to be
first
your
instructor.
first instructor.
Yeah, he was my
right?
first instructor back in the mid-70s.
Yeah, he was a piece of work.
He was a great fighter.
Oh my goodness, I sparred with him a whole bunch, and I spent the whole time just running for my life. I mean, I was faster than him, so you know, I made sure he never had a chance to hit me. You know, I mean, whew, boy,
Right.
he could.
Now, Sterling Peacock is changed his name to Matt David. For the people out there that have heard the name Matt David, his God-given name was
Yeah.
Sterling Peacock,
Yeah,
and
Sterling Peacock.
he was an excellent martial artist. His name isn't. People don't hear Sterling Peacock's name like they do a lot of people's, but he was actually one of the pioneers in
Yeah, he
Kenpo.
was. Yeah,
you know.
he was.
Yeah, and then Chuck Sullivan, of course.
Yeah, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Joe Dimmick.
Joe Dimmick.
Yeah, Joe was my, Joe actually,
Who is Richard Post's instructor, correct?
yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
And he was, if I'm not mistaken, he started in 1957, somewhere around there.
Joe Dimmick did.
Joe Dimmick did, yeah. And
So he was there before you.
Oh, yeah, 2 years.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Joe was, and you never hear about Joe, isn't he?
Right.
You know, I don't know why, but
Excellent martial artist.
yeah. And I think he's been kind of forgotten in the Kenpo world as far as the rank is concerned, but I'm pretty sure he was.
He was in the top few
he's
that
in the top two.
Parker's black belts.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely, he was in
Mhm.
terms of getting the rank. So
Mhm. Yeah.
he was a heck of a fighter, Joe was.
Was he?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, he really was.
Yeah. He looked like Clint Eastwood.
Huh?
He looked a lot like Clint
Yeah,
Eastwood.
he used to be Clint Eastwood's double.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they would
Oh, I
they
didn't
would
know
do
that.
shows like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were an instructor for Mr. Parker. After taking lessons from him, you became.
I started teaching as an assistant instructor after about 5 months, 6 months.
5 months.
Yeah.
Mhm. Were the classes big?
No, they weren't. You know, they
Was it
were,
adults? Was it men, women?
They were all adults. There were
all adult men.
Yeah, the only
Hardcore.
yeah, there was no children. The youngest guy that I knew of at the very beginning was a guy named Jimmy Doherty.
Jimmy Doherty.
And he was 15 years old.
Really?
I remember that. Yeah, he was the youngest guy there that I could remember.
Now, did you not accept kids? Was it adult men at the time? Is that the way it worked?
Yeah.
And it was pretty hardcore. No gloves, no.
Yeah.
You were going for it.
Now there was one woman.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was Ruby. And the first time I saw Ruby, she was in action, sparring with one of the guys. And first thing I know, she ripped out this wicked back knuckle across this guy's eyebrow. And it was like instant gash, instant buckets of blood, instant trip to the ER, instant 6 stitches, and instant respect.
I'm sure.
Because all the rest of us are looking at her and we're knowing we're going to be next.
You're next.
Yeah, we're next.
You have to fight Ruby.
Our time is going to come. We're going to have to fight this chick. And you got to remember, back in those days, in the 50s, and you really didn't fight women.
Right.
You know,
Women weren't real big in the martial arts at that time either,
No,
were they?
not at all. And it was considered kind of unmanly,
Mm-hmm.
to
Right.
fight a woman.
Right.
I mean, it
Mhm.
really was. Even if it was just sparring. So there's
Mhm.
kind of something about it that was not.
Whatever happened to her? Do you have any idea?
I don't know, but she used to fight in tournaments, in men's tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
and men's divisions. Yeah, she was bad.
Really?
I actually have a picture of her in action.
Really?
Yeah, fighting.
Huh.
I don't know where it is. It's
Did
in
she
my
fight the
closet.
internationals?
I'm not sure, but I think so.